The Nigerian Senate has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to direct Custom to suspend the lifting of ban on the importation of rice through the land borders as part of the measure to boost local rice production in the country. It will be recalled that Nigerian Custom announced that the federal government was lifting ban on rice importation through the land borders in order to shore up revenue and forestall smuggling of the commodity into the country. Following the lifting of the ban on the rice, the Senate summoned Comptroller General of Custom Hamid Ali to explain the reason for the action. The Senate passed the resolution at its Wednesday plenary session following the submission of the report of the ad hoc committee on import duty waiver concession grant chaired by Senator Alero Adamu. Reading through the report, Senator Donald Alasho Adura from Ondo State said the committee strongly recommended ban on the inflow of rice through the land border into Nigeria.
The decision to unilaterally lift the ban on importation of rice through land borders is considered by the committee that it will have adversely affect and also disrupt the targeted gains of the rice policy, and also it will be a negation of the collective decision taken by the ministries and the stakeholders. What we found out is that there was a policy decision which was taken by ministries and parastatals that have to do with agriculture, rice policy, the stakeholders.
Other senators, through their comment on the report, called for the ban on rice importation through the land border.
The first recommendation that we should stop the importation, suspend the ban on importation of rice through the land borders. I see it simply as a clear attempt to monopolize this importation through the sea. It has no any patriotic value. It is simply about giving the rice importers through the sea the monopoly of bringing rice to Nigeria. All that we need to do is to step up the activities of Standard Organization of Nigeria and other quarantine agencies in the border, so that rice could, if we are for rice importation, then it should be allowed to be imported from anywhere. And if we are not for it, we must now say clearly that rice importation is wrong, and then empower our farmers to start farming rice.
And the objective of this policy was to protect the local producers, encourage employment generation activities, and to ensure that by 2017, Nigeria will have achieved self-sufficiency on rice production. And by 2017, Nigeria will have also ensured that there is proper and a well-articulated employment generation capabilities for our domestic production.
Whatever revenue we are getting from rice importation, not question of waiver, concessions, or ban or otherwise. What I said on this report is to have a component in this report which tells us how Nigeria can be an exporter of rice rather than remaining permanently as importer of rice. As a nation, we have all it takes to be a rice exporter, and we can do it. What remains is policies that will make rice farming attractive, concession that will make people go into rice farming, that Nigeria as a country can feed itself with rice and export rice to other parts of the world.
In his submission, the Senate President Bukola Saraki followed the tone of the senator.
My view is that I don't think anybody is convinced why anybody will go to the border and incur extra cost on a business unless there is an intention to defraud government. And I think that as of now, it is clear that this process of going through the land border does not do that. We must support our local farmers and ensure that that needs to be addressed. So this, as a motion, we will strongly advise the Nigerian Customs Service to suspend the lifting on the importation of rice through the land borders and continue to operate to the sea borders. Thank you.
In Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting.
The House of Representatives has summoned the Ministry of Health to explain why it denied employment to 58 Nigerians sent to it by the Federal Civil Service Commission. This is coming from a motion moved by Honorable Johnson Agbonaima and was unanimously adopted by the House after a brief debate. Leading the debate, Honorable Agbonaima recalled that the federal government in 2014 had directed the Civil Service Commission to employ qualified Nigerians into the service to cushion the impacts of unemployment in the country. The lawmaker explained that while other ministries, departments, and agencies have since absorbed those sent to them by commission, the Ministry of Health was yet to comply. The House expressed concerns that the 2015 Appropriation Act captures the salaries and emoluments of the 58 Nigerians and wondered what happened to the funds appropriated for them. Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara, however, passed the motion courtesy of voice votes by the House and referred the matter to the Committees on Health, Services and Federal Character for further legislative action.
Suites, number 1 AMO Road off Epotro, GRA, Benin City, Edo State. Website www.prestigehotel.com.ng. Email info@prestigehotel.com.ng. Telephone number 070-620-84038, 081-519-74044. Prestige Hotel and Suites, world-class hospitality.
With the current security challenges facing the country, the call for decentralization of the Nigerian police force to give way for community police have also been on the increase, as stakeholders say it will be to the greater interest of Nigeria.
I don't really support this idea of one central policing system in Nigeria, particularly since it has proved to be very ineffective in policing the system and stopping criminalization of crimes in Nigeria. So if somebody is asking for community policing, it's something that other parts of the world are currently doing, because it's when you involve the community in policing and you also bring in community policing, you are able to know within your area who and who do what.
And it has been conversed in several areas that the police should be decentralized and let every state take care of, policing in their area. And then we have something at the center like FBI. We can have a central command at the center, but let the states, let the community be in charge of police.
Because under the current dispensation, I gave an example where I spoke before at some point. I said, right now in Nigeria, you can move a policeman from Sokoto to Lagos State, and from Lagos State to even Maiduguri. Assuming that police officer is investigating a criminal breach of peace in Lagos, or maybe a bank robbery in Lagos, as the point when the investigation is at the tail end, when it's about concluding, it will be transferred from Lagos to Maiduguri under normal routine assignment. And that might stall the investigation because of the distance, because again, it's no longer within that police command in Lagos State. He has moved to another police command with a different assignment. But when you have a police that is stationed in the state, a state policing or a community policing, these people live there. They are not moving from one point to the other. They are not being transferred from one state to the other. So when they start something, when they start an investigation, they're able to conclude that investigation. Because sometimes, too, from my experience, we've seen situations where even kingpins of robbery bribe people, bribe senior staff, senior officers of the police to transfer investigating police officers from one state to another state so that the investigation can be killed and stalled. But see, when you have community policing system or you have state policing system, they are not moving. They are within that place. They are not being transferred to another state. So when you start a criminal investigation, for goodness sake, they will finish it. Unlike what we have today. And we have sufficient funds to do it. But you see, what part of the problems we have in the country, which is also normal and human, is this idea that people don't want to change. They see the central police system as something that we cannot change. It's a big, it's like an untouchable thing.
The Force Public Relations Officer, ACP BC Kolawole, however, gives a different angle to it, saying that the community participation in policing has always been there.
The communities will bring together the age groups to work alongside with the law enforcement agencies to protect the community. So it's not a new thing. It's only that it is now that we realize that without the community partnering with the police, it will be difficult to actually police the security space. Without information from the public, it will be a little bit difficult for police to have a leadway. So when there is information, and with the intelligence platform, the police will be able to go after the crime or even prevent any crime from being committed. You will recall that recently the IGP organized a national security summit that hosted different categories of citizens in this country, from the traditional rulers from all over the country to youth body, women bodies, civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations. The president was there, governors were there, and the people contributed immensely to how the police and the public can come together, can collaborate and police this country. So the dimension that this regime is taking is borrowed from the background of the Inspector General of Police as an intelligence officer.
If community policing is anything to go by, the Police Community Relations Committee, PCRC, who serves as the link between the community and the police, are also to ensure that this relationship is smooth.
What we do in PCRC is simply to be the spare tire of the police, and then the spanner of the public, so that our role is to bridge the gap between the police and then the community. In the past, police was seen as a regimental force of the colonial masters, and the police was not meant to be friendly to the community because they have to serve the interest of the colonial masters. So after the independence, the police has been trying on a regular basis to reform and then change from what used to be the police force to the Nigerian police. Other countries of the world, like the civilized a democracy, everybody is a watchdog, is a policeman. So that is what we intend to make our people to understand, that you are a policeman, because the law of Nigeria also empower the individual to arrest and hand over to the police for prosecution. So if the law permits you to arrest, that makes you a policeman.
One thing, however, is the protection of whistleblowers by the police, which has been a major factor in this collaboration.
Things have changed. The police that we have now has changed. And we have the IGP, has consistently said that he is committed to giving the country a national and professional police. The police now know that without information from the public, there's no way they can, have a breakthrough in policing or in the activities of investigating crimes or protecting the citizens.
The issue of reducing distress number to short code will also be a breakthrough for community participation in policing the security space.
If you have a full telephone number, it may be difficult for people to have those numbers offhand and then call them, have them in their memory. But if you have one or two, digit numbers that people can call, and we have to build it into the existing infrastructure.
We have been talking with NCC about short codes. Last week, the IG gave another directive to the DIG in charge of ICT to ensure that the NCC gives the police, these short codes to distribute to the public, because this will enable them to call quickly. So that we are working on it.
If the war on crime and criminality will be reduced, stakeholders must participate effectively. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejirogene for Ben Television.
In an effort to make universities in Nigeria compete with others in the world, National Universities Commission (NUC) has called on all tertiary institutions in the country to take the issue of procurement and maintenance of equipment more serious. Professor Julius Okoje made the call in Abuja at a two-day seminar on science and engineering functionality, procurement, and processes in Nigerian universities. Okoje, while noting the importance of equipment in tertiary institutions, advised other institutions that cannot afford to share with those that has good equipment.
The technologies in terms of what the responsibilities are. Not too long ago, we did what they call equipment audits. The 12 new universities had a minimum of 300 million naira to buy the equipment. And we said, look, let us see what equipment they actually bought. We have to do the equipment audits. We were disappointed as to what I call it, the quality issue, and I can't imagine what happened, which would mean that in no time we're going to start replacing some of those equipment. So we have a duty at the regulatory agency and for third from two who funds this institution to ensure that we put our money where our mouth is.
Managing Director, Ego Scientific Limited, Tim Johnson, and other speakers at the event said the seminar seeks to give a supplier's view of the procurement process that will allow better outcome for the purchasing institutions.
The problem with a lot of generic equipment is that it does not have the same quality assurance that you get with branded equipment. If you're buying equipment, if for instance you're investing $20,000 in an equipment, you want to know that that equipment is going to be still working in 10 years' time. You don't want to invest it because you might as well just throw the money away if it's going to fail within a year, when there are no spare parts, no consumables. These are all very important issues when you're procuring equipment. And many of the universities have been rushed through their procurement process, and they eventually end up with equipment which is not really viable after the first 2 years.
Definitely, the level of equipment in any institution is very important. That's one of the key knowledge infrastructures any university that really wants to be able to beat its chest or move up the ladder of university rankings knows that the stock of equipment is very important as part of the key knowledge infrastructure, because research is at the heart of the university endeavor, and without very good equipment and also the human capital.
Presently, we have some universities that we are training on procurement processes. Most of them have not formed their procurement department. So we are assuring them that we'll have a training center in Federal University of Technology where we train procurement officers. As long as they follow the due process in procurement processes, they don't have issue with us.
The seminar will also help to expose participants to site preparation, installation, commissioning, and effective utilization of equipment. From Abuja, LM Chugwamika reports.